Hello, everyone. Jeff Steinberg with FSPN, Athletes in Action, doing the Total Athlete program. That's the mind, body, soul, all the things that we're doing with that. I've got special guest here, Lee Steinberg. And if you haven't heard the name, you should go read his book, because this is the guy who's represented a lot of the major quarterbacks that you would know the names of. So thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure, always.
Yeah. How you got into this, the University of Berkeley, when you started stuff. And I think I love seeing the pictures of you and Steve Young sitting on the couch working out stuff. How did you get? I mean, we're trying to encourage the next generation, right? You and I are getting old. It's time to pass the baton. How do they do what we've been doing?
Speak for yourself, Willis.
That's funny.
It was. I went to UC Berkeley, undergrad and law school, and when I was in law school, I was a dorm counselor in an undergrad dorm. They moved the freshman football team into the dorm, and one of the students was the quarterback, Steve Bartkowski. And in 1975, I had just graduated from law school. He became the very first player picked in the first round of the NFL draft by the Falcons, and he asked me to represent him. Well, there really was not a field of sports representation. Teams had no obligation to talk to agents. They'd hang up the phone and say, we don't deal with agents. So, and then I started the concept. I saw that they could be role models, and I started the concept of asking the future athletes to retrace their roots and go back to the high school community, set up a scholarship fund, go to the collegiate community, and then set up a charitable foundation at the pro level where we would put an advisory board together, the biggest business figures, political figures, and community leaders to execute a program. So that became work done putting the 200 single parent and their family into the first home they'll ever own, or Patrick Mahomes with his 15 in the Mahomies. So I profiled a unique type of player, and then that led in football to 64 first-round draft picks, and the top pick in the draft 8 years, and 12 players in the Hall of Fame, and a big baseball and basketball practice also.
I love the way it just rolls off of, 64 these guys that were the top picks or everything.
Well, so the most important skill, though, is listening, to be able to understand someone's deepest anxieties and fears and their greatest hopes and dreams.
Yeah. Well, and what I don't know if people would know it. They may not recognize you. They may recognize you. But the part of the excitement here for you is you represent Patrick Mahomes. I remember being at 52 in Minneapolis when you just started. I mean, I think it was out of college. I talked to him and his mom.
It was Houston, I think, in 2017.
Oh, was it? 51.
Yes, yeah. And I think he came and did you guys' show, and you know, time is gone. If you like Patrick on the field, you love him off the field because he's very grounded. Yeah. He cares about other people. He's set up the 15 in Mahomies. It helps at-risk kids in hospitals. And he's still very grounded.
Yeah, no, very much so. It's funny because Jason Romano of Sports Spectrum asked him a question straight up at one of the hotel days on Tuesday and basically said, tell me about Jesus in your life. And he had an amazing answer, you know. So yeah, being a man of faith, I think just the way you sat down and representing, I mean, you know, good character, positive role model, you know, good husband and father. I mean, that's what we're talking about when we talk about this whole idea of total athlete. Like, there's a physical, there's a mental, there's a spiritual side, and I know you encourage all of that.
Right. And he grew up in a strong Christian thing, and if you heard after the Buffalo game, the first thing he did was thank the Lord.
He did. Oh, the AFC Championship. Yeah, that was it. It felt like the Kurt Warner moment. Remember when he's like stopped everything, first things first? That was incredible.
Yeah, it was great. And, you know, belief in a higher power is important. One of the things I ask athletes is how important are spiritual issues in your mind. So I have that sense going forward.
Yeah. I know too, everybody thinks this is a life of amazing stuff and it's all glamour and all that. You've been through some difficult times, but you've made a really good comeback and intentional efforts of moving out of some things that tried to drag you down. You want to talk to people about that a little bit?
So I struggled with alcohol and eventually broke denial and came to the belief that I had to change my life. I had an epiphany, and I worked a 12-step program with a unique fellowship, found a higher power, and everything goes well. Next month, I'll be 15 years continuously sober. But my dad always stressed that there were two core values aside from spiritual ones. One was treasure relationships, especially family, and the second was make a meaningful difference in the world and help people who can't help themselves. So that's really the comeback, was maintaining sobriety and being a good father.
Yeah, no. And I also appreciate, I mean, we're coming up on the Steinberg party tomorrow. And while you do the humanitarian award, and it's a really fun chance to kind of hang out and rub shoulders with celebrities and entertainers and athletes, you do a big thing around the concussion protocols and things like that. Tell them a little bit about that and helping athletes in what they're dealing with.
So back in the 1980s, I'm representing half the starting quarterbacks. They kept getting hit in the head, and we would we would go to doctors and ask how many is too many, what's the magic number, when should I contemplate retirement. They had no answers because the brain's the last frontier of medical research. So in '94, I held the first concussion conference, and we had Drew Bledsoe and Steve Young and Warren Moon and Troy Aikman there. And we had neurologists explain the keys. So we've had a brain health summit every year since then, and we'll have one tomorrow at the party. But the Concussion Foundation I established last week is around the issue of raising funds for more discovery and change. And second of all, providing funds for people with less access to mental health and concussion treatment. So if you're interested, you can go to leesteinbergfoundation.org and help. Tomorrow, we're also helping the National Urban League, and we hope to move a family into the first home they'll ever own. We have the humanitarian awards, as you said. We have a brain body lounge where we display hyperbaric and stem cells and all these healing modalities.
Yeah. Well, Lee Steinberg, one of the best agents out there representing all kinds of people. As you heard him say, leesteinbergfoundation.org, where you can help out with some of the things he's doing around the concussion protocols and things like that. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate what you do.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. And we'll be back with you some more things in a bit.